Okay, so last week, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon. Last week we already cover up as the first stage, right, for grounded theory, which are what's that? They ada banyak. They have a number of that you already done it, right? Open coding, right? So saya dah minta you all try to exercise it. Okay, based on this, and take a line by line based on academic paper 4. If you start semestinya you have to do all, maybe you just pick dua soalan and to answer. Okay, and then already cover up all this kind of open coding, right? Open coding here. So they have number of approach that you can apply or you can try it. Okay, so I already cover up, right? Okay, so for today we will go to week 2. I can't remember yet too much. Okay, so and then the memos, right? So then exercise 2, I asked you all to do some longer tasks, okay, for coding out coding scheme, as well as to write some memo for conclude of the code itself. Then when we have that, we can go extend up to Azure coding. All right. So for today, Alhamdulillah, I already put the paper regarding on based on this chapter. Sorry, that paper yang I introduced last week too. All right, so you can have a look at that paper as well. General counseling psychology, that which are this point are based on that papers. Okay, so I already upload that, you can have a look in detail. So from the open coding that I explained, I think if I'm not mistaken, I already touched a little bit on Azure coding last week. Okay, but I think sebagai secara quick glance, okay, so Azure coding ni more towards relationship. Okay, so you can connecting, okay, how to connecting between the open coding, code 1, code 2, code 3 to become as category. All right, so they have constant comparison. All right, so they have, you need to know how to identify the properties and dimensions. So what is the properties, what is the dimensions? Okay, then we can use the constant comparative. Okay, so this is example. This example are based on that paper that I already upload for you, so you can have a look details. Okay, challenge and success, qualitative study of the career development of highly achievable women with the physical and sensory disabilities. Okay, this paper really developed. I mean that their model are developing using grounded theory 100%. So this paper also you can have a look. They are consider long research, okay, long-term research. So it's not just 2 or 3 months research can have that outcome, right? However, for your exercise and your case study discussion later on, you all can based on what study that I have done with Morrison and my team as well. So with that, from the academic paper 4 that I have I and Morrison did on, and then extend up to my case. I mean, my team as well. So I put another link after the paper of yang grounded theory ni, I ada put case study. That one is you can have a look another questions. Okay, after exercise 1, 2 actually are based on exercise 3 at the end of this chapter. Okay, so the constant comparison, I think I already explained last week, but I think it's okay. Just recap back that so constant mean that we can have a check back. Okay, either you can combine or not. Okay, so let's say here this one, right? Okay, yang for that paper. So adjustment, yang first one, then the category is position. So either you can combine or not, depends. So for this case, they can combine became as a disability identity. So so I hope, so the reason I use that paper yang online teaching tu, because I think it's quite global issues that I believe all of you are have familiar with that. Okay, or even though it's for tuition center, I mean it's not too complicated and not too so much easy at all, right? Like this one is quite however you can learn from this paper, and then you can do exercise based on that paper that I will give for you, already given for you in our online learning. Okay, so the constant comparison is the example work is like this. Okay, so yang I akan minta you buat nanti untuk exercise yang online tuition tu pun you can do similarly like what have you see here. Okay, right. So how we can have the properties or dimensions in your analysis. So you can see here, this is as some sorts of guidelines. Okay, where maybe we do have multiple perspectives of the category. So maybe they have dimensionalized. Okay, I mean ada punya continuum there. I think I already mentioned this one. Or they have the macam properties tu normally they have we can describe lah, right? Can describe the situation, whatever, or else dimensions, right? So let's say that watching, we can have the frequency, we can have the duration, we can have the intensity. Okay, we can describing them. Okay, we can describe the event, right? So this example from based on this paper as well. Okay, so this example, let's say, so that's why you can see this paper, the author, the researchers have the good background of this topic or of these issues, because if they are not, it's quite a challenge to them for identify the properties as well. Let's say, for example, here, the acquisition or development of disability, right? So how they can see the perspective of or the dimension of the development of disability itself. Okay, some people develop immediately after their birth. Some people, some women or that person, their apa, dia punya research group tu, I mean dia punya respondent acquired during um, adulthood or during childhood, whatever, so they have continuum. Or else, and then how they are processed, how the properties for category of disability adjustment. Okay, some respondent, they are no adjustment at all. Okay, because they are already born, their disabilities as they are born. For some people, they have, okay, ini example this one I just ulas for this, how they can deriving these properties as well. Okay, maybe for the online tuition they don't have this part. Okay, I just it could be. Okay, so maybe dia punya okay, this is another example. Okay, so this is another construct. Family influence, attitudes, disability impact. So you can, so last week one already asked about how many that categories that we can derive for the theory concept. Actually, there are no no limits, but normally they are not too much. So dia takkan sampai 100 category till 50s. Normally just adequate enough for come out as a model or the concept or the selective coding or merging model. Okay, so dia akan nampak a number macam kalau you tengok normally faktor-faktor ke challenge ke tips paling banyak pun kalau 21 tu pun dah almost much, right? So for us to to master out, normally there could be less than 20 30 and below lah. Okay. There's some still the saturated, okay, some still the normal new information that can derive it, right? So as I already mentioned last week, right, So dia tak adalah macam satu structured things lah. Okay, there are no rules lah. Maybe it could be lah. Sometimes, especially maybe in medical, whatever, sometimes it can be high one lah, high factors and so on, depending, okay, on the field of study as well. But normally they will not too high numbers as all. Okay, as long as that's why in the qualitative they always say out as saturated. Okay, and there are no more new information. Or in other way, no new illuminations. Okay, so the sample can cover up in that context only. Let's say in Malaysia context or in the case study context and so on. Okay, so they're very custom made as well. That's why sometimes the proper policy sometimes kita nampak very general one, then depending, and then that policy or the procedure depending on that in, let's say, in institution or organization or the community as well. Okay, so this one is advanced Zell tadi yang recording yang secara umum lah. Okay, for first one ni is recording as a general one. This one advanced one. Okay, maybe in sebagai kata apa, introduce for you all. Okay, so let's say we have more on what we call quite complicated or phenomenon wise. Okay, so we can have this. Maybe tak semua kita akan adapt. Okay, maybe you just starting with causal, then up to the factors or the challenge. Okay, so can we look for every and one by one what is a causal? Causal means that what the influence can make that phenomenon happens. Okay, either phenomenon, events, incidents, happenings, and so on. That's why for the qualitative researchers, they always keep thinking on why it could be happens and so on, because they are so normally they are leading with this causal conditions. Or then phenomenon itself. Okay, what is a phenomenon? The idea. Okay, so the idea, and then let's say incident to why it was happen. Okay, dia punya why apa why itself is play a role lah. Okay, besides what, who, where, and so on. Okay, how. Okay, why is in other way dia macam the most important question mark for qualitative researcher besides what and how. Okay, the strategies for addressing the phenomenon is sometimes also quite challenged to address it as well. Okay, some school of thoughts of let's say in the medical, they have their own perceptions. In the sociology or in the language or in the education itself, they have their own perception on how they're thinking on this coding as well. Okay, and last one, strategies. Context. Okay, context tu maknanya that where the events happen. For example, for that case study that I have shared with you all is the context happens in one of social center in Penang. Okay, for example. So the context, you can do the exercise based on that context. Okay, maybe that what was happened at that tuition center maybe is not same as the other tuition center. It is quite contextualized lah. We have to imagine that we are in that shoes lah. I mean, let's say on that tuition honor center shoes as well, or the tuition center tuition teachers as well. Okay, so and then we can for as a coding also we can have how we can have intervening ni macam intervention lah. Okay, how we want to help and the action, the strategies, okay, and as well as the consequences. Okay, what, let's say I also ask you to from that case study, I put the last question. If you all Mr. Ahmad in that case, how you will decide for overcoming that challenge. Okay, so this last one. So this is a guidelines for you all to have the code as well. This is a parts of the model. Okay, then when you have understand all that sequences, okay, all this terms and the steps, so you can decide either you want to go all, or you can choose the most prominent for you and come up with the models. And there's example. This one is the other example. Okay, it's not same as previous one. Ini another example that you can see as whole of the as a coding. Okay, so they have causal, phenomenon, context. Ini dia nak showing the example of that. Okay, the causal conditions, the phenomenon, the context, the intervening conditions, the strategies, and the consequences for this study. Okay, this study is about survival and coping by women who have survived childhood. Dia tak lari jauh dengan apa tadi, yang the main one tadi. Okay, ini another study have been done by Merrow and Smith. Okay, it's quite lebih awal lagi lah. Study ni lebih awal daripada study yang I showing just now. This one I'm not showing. Okay, ini dalam buku John Creswell. Okay, was being used by John Creswell, Qualitative Inquiry and Process Design. Okay, so that last one. Okay, ini the last part. Okay, how you want to create of substantive theory, or how you want to do selective coding. Okay, based on Strauss and Corbin. Okay, when we create of substantive theory, means that we have to identify the category yang can integrate all that categories that we are identified for this. Okay, so maknanya kita will explain as a whole. Okay, we can, for example, for this paper, you can have a look after this. See, after this, I explain. The door is sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so you can have like a storytelling. Okay, you can have a you look like a construct story. You have storyline. So apa yang you dah define for this through open coding, as a coding, then you can have a storyline. Okay, where storyline is about, you can conceptualize story. For your exercise after this, and I name it as case study, you meaning of, you just do exercise as a meaning of what you have understand from the case study, from the example yang ni lah, yang challenge and success of the disability woman, based on that we are that Dr. Muhammad Noor have been using for this chapter. Okay, jadi dia as a conceptualize. Then you selective coding itself is about when we define, okay, kita define the interrelationship among the core categories now to other category, and how you can fill in. Okay, so they have what is a core category. As I did mention before, this is about the variation almost yang kita boleh relate lah, kategori macam kata factor lah kan. Okay, from for this we always using word of factors, selalunya factors lah, okay, ataupun what else, some sorts of antecedents. I think for correctly they're using word of category lah. Okay, so with that they akan emerge. Okay, so that's concept atau the whole things, the selective coding itself is look like a grounded theory. Okay, so the data tu sendiri adalah tulang belakang, the core, or to ensure that the theory is grounded. Itu dia yang dinamakan grounded theory tu. So based on the participants' experience, we are deriving the grounded theory itself based on the information from the participant. The information tu adalah hasil interview yang we detected and is transcribing and we analysis out. Okay, so and we support with some existing literature, okay, to enhance our coding, our open coding is towards our Azure coding, and how we want to make our concept to become powerful lah. Okay. Not really powerful, I mean trusted lah. Okay, so that's how validation and reliability on qualitative this tak sama macam, it's not same as in quantitative or in we are doing for statistical analysis and so on, right? So theory, from this we can show that normally we have present to diagram or narrative this lah. In this one they call as dynamic dynamic shift. I mean they name it as dynamic self. Okay, or maybe you can have any names that are representing all the categories in that you have identified. So in other words, ini an example of selective coding from this paper. Okay, I dah share this paper for you in on online learning. Alright, so it's quite really representing the crowded theory. So you can have you can read in details from this paper more on what the crowded theory all about. Of there's this explained quite comprehensively from this paper. Okay, jadi you can see here, okay, from they name it as a emergent model, okay. Jadi dynamic self, so where there adalah ada 6 faktor sini, right? The category tu dia became the challenge itself is a family influencers, and then you can see lah, okay, which one is the challenge, which one is the success, okay. So actually challenge and success are you can see the arrow here actually the vice versa, right? So I believe that this is a challenge and then this is the success itself. Okay, so all the sellers towards became as the success in here lah. So the success in point is in as a the whole model itself. Okay, ini quite comprehensive lah. Okay, for exercise that I asked you to do is quite little bit not really too comprehensive. It's just about how you to nanti kita tengok apa yang I minta you all buat nanti. Okay, that's example of selective coding. Nampak macam some people alah buat model je pun. But kalau before this, if you look at all the SAM or such equation model PLS, they are testing, right? You all can see when they are testing the, let's say the theory based on hypothesis, okay, their acceptance can be between A and B. So this one, we are deriving, I mean, kita yang come up with that concept or the framework. Okay, so in this case they name it as emergent model. Okay, so how they came out as from the challenge became a success. Okay, so you can see here all the challenge here. Okay, so the things that can lead to success is this one. The personality characteristic is belief in self. Okay, so I can guess as well the below one is also can derive the success as well. Okay, so ni dia boleh can have a multiple interpretation from this concept of this model. It doesn't mean that dia hanya stick pada satu definitions only or satu application or interpretation. It can be have multiple interpretation from this model. Okay. And depends on where we are from lah. Okay, so this I think I mentioned is so dia ada banyak as I mentioned. Yeah, there are quite number of versions of grounded theory. Okay, kalau Glaser, they're more on emergent. Okay, for Strauss and Corbin. So this one, they're based on, remember, they're based on, you can have a look at. They're more on Strauss and Corbin, not mistaken. Okay, prescriptive lah, they're lebih describing. Okay, or if based on traumas, they're agak comprehensive to quite number of categories and theory co-constructed. Okay, they not really discovered the data tu tak too discovered either not theory but it's maknanya dia lebih ringan lah, so dia lebih kepada experience. Alright, experience itself, experience of the responder that they are interview or they are asking for. Okay, so these are the books that you can see. The Castle, Strauss and Corbin, and Charmas. Kalau you nak tengok dalam Shopee ke, mungkin ada daripada, I don't know, to lend from the library or just a digital platform nowadays. Some student they don't like to read from the seafood. Maybe they read all the papers based on this reference. Okay, for example, the paper ni lah, this paper lah, is based on the uh, I tak perasan dia banyak dari mana ya. You boleh check back. Okay, so as I did mention, I think I already mentioned this one. However, just to recap back that actually and everything in the world they have some cons as well. Okay. Actually dia tak semestinya dia tak boleh macam this approach, okay, grounded theory itself, they have dia macam kita boleh start from scratch lah actually, supposedly, okay, cannot set aside theory at the side, cannot set aside theory at the start. So maknanya kita tak boleh tinggalkan, kita mesti ada some basis as well, okay. So researchers must have some specific theory in the base. Maknanya kalau let's say theory tu mesti rules or your understandings or your experience, okay. So because sometimes the reason is because the theoretical sampling itself takes a time. So that's why I still remember when I attend one of the grounded theory training, that professor said grounded theory is really impossible to complete within 3 years for PhD, for example. Maybe the normal wise, maybe 4 to 5 years, because it's required the theoretical, if they are using or they're applying huge of theoretical sampling, okay. So or else Silverman, what does it mean? I'm not okay, so need to seek out deviant cases, okay. I mean this one is maybe quite purely one, all right. Coding breaks up narrative flow of data. Sometimes they ada stuck here and there, so sometimes quite challenge as well lah. So that's why some correlated theories they're not using 100% of product theory. Maybe they're blended with some case study, actual research, or else phenomenology. Phenomenology selalunya dia akan relatable with the grounded theory, especially for example for in curriculum, in intervention of improving the teaching strategy. Okay, some I have one book on from scholars is where she wrote based on what she did for her PhD. Then she discover the approach that she did is more on what we call actual research, tapi dia ada specific name, I can't remember, but you know the approach itself they discover after she done her viva. Okay, but dia memang buat action research lah, okay. Action research in qualitative in education, mana education pun vastly used for this, cuma sometimes they are not declare it as a, so dia akan guna kajian tindakan. Kajian tindakan. Alright, so from this exercise that I already what we call I don't know what to say, but I take this one, I absorb this one to our discussion. Okay. So I also I'm more satisfied when I'm explaining like this. I hope you're okay with this, because it's quite you know, quite more calm, and I'm not feel that I have to be too perfectly. Okay, so I'm sharing. I hope you all get any question sebelum kita go for our as usual. I will not till by 4. I think today maybe lebih awal. Hopefully kejap Okay. Jadi mungkin you are rasa, I don't know what's your feelings. Hopefully you okay. Hopefully you all okay. Whether this week is a school holiday. Alright, so what I'm say just now, the paper that channels a success to here, paper applying grounded theory chapter 5. Alright, and then for video last week I already put here 35. So video for today also I will continue kat bawah ni lah. Okay, chapter 5A, chapter 5B lah. Alright, jadi case study discussion here is okay. Actually the continuity of academic paper 4 tu yang you ada sesi dialog tu kan. Okay, so from that, okay, jadi this is as teaching case. So ini dia punya okay, bahan lah, okay, the material that you can do for your exercise. Okay, so you can see, let's say kalau paper hari tu nama apa from based on academic paper 4 tu yang I ask you to do for exercise 1 and exercise 2. Okay, so ini macam ada benda lompong tau, ada something missing okay, dalam this case, this teaching case, so you have to fill up. Why is that? I will not answer that. You have to answer through this exercise. Okay, alright, so blah blah blah. Alright, so as I did mention last week that you are doing your exercise 1, exercise 2. Okay, exercise 1 and exercise 2 from academic paper 4 had been issued last week's class. Okay, exercise 1, exercise 2 kat mana? Dalam chapter 5 just now lah. Okay, and the combination from this teaching case as above ni yang atas ni lah. Okay, as above ni lah. Okay, above 1 sampai 6 ni. Okay, you can read all. Sebenarnya, when you read this, you will get some hint. Alright, you can read. Actually, it's continuity lah. Continuity from the academic paper 4 to I make it as teaching case. Apa teaching case tu? Kalau you nak minta, tak apalah. Nak minta you kalau ada masalah, you tak faham ke, you can to tell me from this teaching case. Alright, so I hope that you already done the exercise 1, exercise 2 yang I minta you all buat last week. Tapi nanti kita akan continue, right? Okay, jadi then please, okay, you can see here question 1, 2, 2 and 3 actually exercise 3. Yeah, Wan.
Screen saya dapat nota saja, betul ke?
Sorry.
Di screen saya nampak nota. Betul tunjuk nota ke?
Oh, iya ke? You are sharing Microsoft Edge. Sekejap. Terima kasih. Itulah saya duk nampak hal tu. Thank you for your... Oh, saya terlupa nak tukar. Thank you. Yeah, because it's a Google Chrome. Tadi nota Microsoft Edge. Okay. Thank you Wan for your awareness. Okay, now you nampak tak case study discussion?
Baru nampak.
Okay. Thank you for your let me know. Sebab I nampak this one, so that I tak perasan you all tak nampak. Itu antara cabaran lah. Okay, it's okay. Okay, I start again. I can recall. So this one you all get from I dah put along learning. So okay, from the academic paper 4 that I asked you to see for doing exercise 1, right? That from that paper at the end the appendix had the tu kan transcribe tu kan. For this one I dah the extension lah. Okay, this teaching case, this case lah. Kena buang kata teaching tu. This case extended from that. So okay, so it's quite simplified from that. Okay, kalau kita macam sama je. Sama tapi tak extra. It's still the same point. So that's why I kata okay, this case the entitled as transformation of substitution because tinggi for all learners is Mr. Ahmad Reddy. So you have to put yourself as Mr. Ahmad. Why I say that? Because the last question that I asked you to do so is what of this additional question from beside the other question 3 question ni are based on the question from exercise 3 and the chapter 5. So you have to put yourself if you are Mr. Ahmad. So what you should make apa final decision you. Okay. Walaupun sebenarnya benda tu semua dah ada dah, you just pick out, okay, pick out coding frame and then row category. Dia tak mesti 6 juga, okay, maybe you hanya dah tahu dah, maybe you want to rephrasing the name of the factors that you already identified in the academic paper 4, right? So maybe you have another perception, okay, based on all these materials, all this information. So this one coding framing actually are continuing from the exercise 1 and exercise 2. Maknanya guidance lah, guide step by step that you can, okay, it doesn't mean that you must do all from each coding, okay, since open coding, Elsa coding, selective coding, you just did based on what you understand, okay. There are no rights or wrong, just case study discussion. So yes, so you can see there coding frame ni mana you dah come out as a, nampak dah seakan-akan nak wrap up lah kan. Then for then identify tu mana ya, kalau dua lah, kalau tiga lah, kalau empat lah, okay. Then selective tu you just presenting lah macam as you see in a merging model in page 26 tu, okay, page 26 in dalam chapter 5 itself. So last one, all the things that I ask ni memang they have it in that the case ni, okay, you have to keluarkan lah, okay, keluarkan you have to keluarkan came as a category, or for example for this one maknanya untuk konteks case ni dia langkah-langkah lah, lebih pada langkah-langkah lah how apa step to transforming whatever that you want to make it your model tu, step to transforming, adakah dia transform, okay, you can see from the information here, is it the transforming or is it he just do some what we call steps to overcome, okay, either walaupun the case is about transformation, is it they transform, okay. So it can be either as a transforming or overcoming or challenge that they're facing after pandemic. So there are a few definition that you can have from this case study. Okay, jadi saya harap you can take this one. So nanti you boleh, kalau saya lepas saya buat lain sikit, approach berbeza dan macam tak berapa mencabar. Tak berapa mencabar testing their capability on, I'm testing on chapter 4 for that time, but I feel apa, so you all tak boleh lah tanya Mr. Zainal ke Miss Hazima, dia orang tak sama. Sama tapi tak serupa. Alright, jadi so all these answers that you will have it, you, saya rasa saya nak suruh you jawab kat sini, tapi nanti mungkin you boleh Siti, Sharifah, mana ada Sharifah ni, Ilya dengan ni mungkin nak satu group, one dengan Sui ke, okay. So you boleh come out dengan dua tak payah setiap orang satu kan, setiap blok, okay. So you boleh type lah kat sini pun tak apa, ataupun you nak or else you rasa I need to put the other link, okay. Link dari Google Drive juga, tapi new link lah, macam mana. Sebab ni sebagai case study, case discussion. Okay, I open for any suggestion. So I share this one kan. So I think you can, I'm not sure you can edit or I share tadi tak ingat I share.
Satu group 2 question lah. Macam mana?
Tak dengar lawan. Apa dia?
Maksud doktor satu group dua satu group dua soalan lah, dua question.
No. I think sini, bagi nampak you all boleh detect faham sepenuhnya. My suggestion, Anis, for example lah, Anis, Ilya, Siti buat satu group, buat the whole lah, 1 to 4. Wan dengan Sri buat the whole another. So kita tengok satu geng lelaki, satu geng buat. Tapi tak terpulang lah. Sama ada Wan,
Okay.
Anis, Ilya ataupun Siti dengan up to you. I not decide to, but you can discuss. Maknanya you ada room for discussion. Sekali you buat individually, you tak nama discussion kan. Sebab I mention ni discuss with his classmate. So depends. Nak 2 atau 3 ataupun sebab kita 5 orang, you all ada 5 orang. 2 or 3 or 2 3 lah, tak kisahlah. Wan dengan Uswi ke, Wan dengan Ilya ke, up to you, bergantung pada kesesuaian and your availability. Then if you feel you macam tak muat kat sini kan, nanti saya akan buat satu lagi ruang. Satu group A, satu group B. Macam tu. Okay. Dalam ni lah, dalam Google Drive. Atau saya buat je kat bawah ni. Right? Saya buat satu page, sebab saya tak sure saya share ni you can edit or not. Sebab saya lepas sebab macam tu. Sebab when I ask to using satu app ni, dia orang tak familiar. Tak ingat apps apa dia orang. Not really familiar. Not remember. Tapi tak
Kena
apa.
asingkan ke Nata?
Sorry?
Kena asingkan kot, nanti meniru pula.
Bagus Wan. Thank you for your awareness. Okay. Boleh. Saya akan usahakan. 2 dokumen lah. Tapi I put as Google Drive as well. Boleh. Nanti I share pun dalam online learning as what I did for this one. Is it okay? I kita flexible. Whatever that you are comfort with. Bukan comfort, you are familiar with. Okay? Ilya, Anis, boleh? Selalunya Google Drive ni macam cloud jugalah kan. So hopefully.
Okay, boleh.
Boleh. Okay, jadi ada soalan tak?
So, dia punya kod dia by paragraph lah yang ni Doktor.
Sorry?
Dia punya kod yang maksudnya by paragraph lah kan.
Untuk coding frame tu dah boleh dah bagi nampak ni. Nanti you kembangkan je lah. A coding frame, a coding. Dia yang buat apa ni Google Drive ni yang auto corrected a coding mula. I just ask develop coding frame. Coding frame tu memang lah kan. So satu frame lah. Okay. And then you identify lah. So kau kategori tu kalau identify tu you nak list ke you nak ambil yang frame tu put as it. Dia macam sikit banyak sikit and then the whole thing. So yang present tu all the category that you have identified lah.
Kita kena buat semula ke dia punya macam satu kod, maksudnya satu kod satu paragraf, dua paragraf kedua second code macam tu.
Dia tak paragraph lah, dia macam kategori and then code. I think what do you mean that one, right? Kategori itu yang you maksudkan kan?
Atas lah, dia punya
macam
paper atas lah.
Yang mana? Yang ni ke?
Yang ni lah.
Okay,
maksudnya satu paragraf ni satu kod lah maksudnya. Kalau
tak
kod by
semestinya.
paragraf.
Tak. It doesn't mean that. Okay, kalau you baca nanti, ini introduction. Ini apa, macam waktu apa, bagi tu apa, pengenalan lah kan, the situasi tu. And then, pengenalan si event tu. And then, ini background of that organisation. So, this one lah, isu dia dekat nombor 3 ni. So, kod dia mungkin you akan derive banyak dari sini. Sebenarnya yang ni saya bagi hint sikit lah. Background ni sebenarnya comes from yang interview tu. Yang mana satu lah? Salah satu kot. Okay. Salah satu daripada set interview yang paper 4 tu. Then the findings. Okay. Then so it could be from here, background issue, and then the findings ni. Ni dia punya kita apa? Continuation dia. Alright. So ni ada mungkin ada gap, ada redundancy sikit nombor 3 dengan nombor 5 ni. So kalau you kata medium, case ni macam ada redundancy tak apa. Kalau you rasa macam ada something wrong, you just let me know. Alright, so mungkin daripada 3 dengan 5 ni. Okay, background dengan case finding. Then conclusion ni ada something yang conclusion ni soalan part tu ada boleh dia punya input nanti I can I memang ada something memang panggil apa hidden lah hidden. So itu yang you have to think on. Okay, faham? Boleh Wan? You get what I mean?
Boleh dah.
So dia punya deriving dia mainly from 3 and 5 ni. Kenapa terus 5 ni adalah ni benda yang I missing. Okay. So they mainly from here lah, from background of issues and then the findings. Maknanya finding ni actually mainly from sebenarnya background of issue dengan findings actually derived from the interview transcribe tu. Kalau you tengoklah, you tengok balik. You rasa macam sama je. Sama tapi tak serupa. So yang ni dah polish lagi. Polish lagi daripada transcription tu. So you boleh take lah, mungkin ada lagi point-point yang daripada academic paper 4 tu yang tak diketengahkan. Oh, bila you baca dari approach ni, ada lagi kategori yang you boleh nampak. Okay. Kalau academic paper tu ada berapa? Ingat tak? Academic paper 4 tesis ada 3 yang di-highlightkan. Jadi macam kita benda ni depends on your perception jugalah. Alright. So yang WAM yang soalan tu sebenarnya dia punya point banyak you can derive mainly from background and finding tu sendiri. Okay. Boleh no? Dia macam nak bantu you lah. Macam kalau you biasa tengok baca case study kan. Case study dia ada banyak information kan. They have a lot of information, then how you want to derive it. So for this case, for the exercise also same thing, but dia how you punya interpretation or you punya macam tadi saya kata, okay, daripada case ni kita boleh nampak sebagai challenge, kita boleh nampak sebagai factor, okay, apa faktor-faktor yang menyebabkan dia kata apa, faktor-faktor the reason why they have to transform. Okay, dia sama tapi tak serupa. Okay, they have just SOP lah, dia ada terminology. Some people memang kita selalu guna standard procedure, tapi maybe term tu can be changed to another term maybe in outside kan, in overseas, in other country they're not using standard of procedure. Macam itulah dia punya metafor dia. Okay, so ini sebagai satu contoh. Mungkin you nak kata acceptance, factor for acceptance in transformation. So it could be lah. Tajuk yang sebelum ni, tajuk dia apa? Tajuk yang saya ada. Tajuk academic paper 4 tu apa? Ingat tak? Saya tak buka pula.
Center acceptance and readiness of online learning due to pandemic.
Kan, acceptance kan. Acceptance kan. So dia kata apa, Pima the same thing lah macam this one. Very general like this one, right? The paper that we are using for corrective challenge and success. Tapi sebenarnya dia lebih banyak kepada challenge, right? Untuk for the paper that we are using for this chapter, dia macam vice versa. Challenge, success. Challenge, that challenge is about to achieve the successfulness. Okay, so this yang ni pun dia how you want to transforming, so all this apa yang menyebabkan dia perlu transform, so dia berbeza condition lah, okay, the condition wise or the situation, the phenomenon itself are quite different. Okay, so saya stop video. Sekian, terima kasih. Jumpa lagi minggu depan.